David Pacman has joined in on the call to action. And so did Parker get a job. You know, as you guys know, college Democrats invited me. The Republicans are obviously freaking out. Some of these like liberals are freaking out too. And I think the Sexpestiny Epstein community did like a boss call to all the liberal commentary sphere to be like, why won't you guys also shit on Hasan? Are you too scared or some shit like that? And it's really funny because like the idea that I'm not like eating it from both ends here is so funny. Like the notion that people are too afraid to stand up to Hasan is a hilarious take because I'm, you know, a priority target for the State Department. And also prominent liberals yell at me all the fucking time. So David was one of the guys that bit.
Listen to the whole segment before you send me hate mail. You know when it starts that way, it's going to be good. The Democratic Party is showing the early signs of the same disease that destroyed the Republican Party. I've got so many friends on the left texting me and saying, David, we're not going to allow the same thing to happen on the left that Trump did to MAGA. That Trump and MAGA did to Republicans, are we? Republicans.
What, you mean winning? Like, I'm sorry, they have an odious worldview on the right. The reactionaries do. They're horrible monsters. But the one thing you can't say is they're unsuccessful. Donald Trump literally owns the government, okay? Donald Trump owns the government. Donald Trump almost single-handedly rewrote American politics for the last decade. Every aspect of American politics has changed for the worse because of Donald Trump. So when you say, oh, we can't let these fucking leftists do the same, what are you saying? Do you disagree with the policies? Is that what you're talking about? I wish the Democrats could fight like the Republicans do, but instead of for odious, horrible, repulsive, toxic, and outright awful plans, I wish the Democrats would fight like hell for good shit. Medicare for all, housing for all, federal jobs guarantee, and also cutting all aid and sanctioning Israel, holding Israel accountable, abolishing ICE, punishing ICE. I wish. Oh no. Oh no. We can't let the Democrats be too sweet. We can't let the Democrats be too successful. What will the Republicans do? Republicans got real Chinese with it. I'll tell you why. What does the Communist Party of China do? 5-year plans. They write it out like Babe Ruth. They call their shot and they swing and they do not miss. Republicans did the same. They said Project 2025. Here is all of the awful shit that we're going to do. We are going to Nazify this country and there ain't a dang thing you can do about it. And then they followed through on it. It's horrible. It's awful. It's unbelievably bad. But it is successful for their agenda. So yeah, I wish the Democrats would have their own Project 2026, Project 2028, which featured socialism heavily in it. And then we had enough fighters that could get together and push for that. When you say, oh, we can't let the fucking MAGA style situation take over the Democratic Party, what are you talking about? We believe in the opposite things that they believe. We believe in the opposite things that they believe. We want to advance the opposite things. But if you're going to talk about success, MAGA has been unbelievably successful. Let's continue.
Back in 2010, their leaders laughed at the Tea Party. Conspiracy theorists, they're far-right internet trolls, they're not going to do anything. And then the Tea Party took over local organizations, threatened primaries, built their own media universe, and eventually were part of a process that gave us Donald Trump.
Yes, that's insanely successful. Donald Trump has been unbelievably successful. What are you talking about? Like everything that you cover on your channel about every damn day, there is a new thing. Every damn day, there is a new awful thing that this fucking psychopath does. That's success for him. So you know he's successful. All the bad shit he's doing, that's success for the Trump movement, for Trump, for MAGA. We hate it because we have a fucking conscience. They don't. But one thing you can't say is that they're unsuccessful. What the hell?
The left and Democrats can't make the same mistake. There is a small group of far left extremists gaining influence inside youth groups and party organizations because they spend all day online organizing and enforcing ideological purity and attacking anyone who disagrees. Now, let me be very
Liberal, 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 happy fun, la la la, human smuggling, fentanyl deaths.
I am not talking about people who want Medicare for all and affordable housing. I want all that stuff. I'm with all that stuff. I'm a social democrat in the style of Northern Europe. Of course I want those things. These are folks who treat political warfare like a full-time job. And when they can't build...
Dude, you're literally a political commentator. What are you talking about? You're a political... That's your full-time... That's literally your full-time job. Does David Pacman do something else other than this? This is his job, right? Yeah. He said the left is really bad because they're locking in. Okay. The left is bad because they locked in and they have an agenda. They seek to accomplish that agenda and they're pushing for it. And now, perhaps most terrifyingly, they're winning physically.
Their own coalition, they attach themselves to popular causes. They take real concerns about healthcare, housing, police misconduct, and use them to sell what is actually an authoritarian worldview. Now, there are things in DSA, for example, Democratic Socialists of America, that are good and that I agree with. But there's also some stuff in there that I think doesn't make any sense. I saw their new platform promises a country where you have no debt, you pay no rent, no mortgage, you receive publicly funded housing, publicly funded retirement.
Why won't anybody think about the landlords? Why won't anybody think about the big corporations that are buying out all the fucking readily available housing? Okay, here's the thing. It's good to have ideals and a goal that you are setting out ahead of time. What feels impossible tomorrow could be probable. So here's the question. Why don't you like that final goal that we should move towards is the real question. Because like you could just be like, how do we accomplish it? Fine. That's okay. That's a healthy and productive conversation that we can have. But if you just cut it down to be like, dude, fucking what? Like public housing? Gross. then that just comes across like you are just in opposition to a thing that exists in those same Nordic style social democracies that you just started off defending. Like, can you imagine being like, oh, public housing? Absolutely not. Get the fuck out of here. It's like, I want social democracy. Okay, well, they have public housing. So it turns out maybe you don't like some of the fucking social democratic policies. Like, which type of social democracy are we talking about? Because many of them have that. Many of them have this. We should have it too. As far as like debt abolition, we have a real problem with debt. That's unironically a huge working class issue. It's actually pretty reliable that DSA has identified that as a major problem that they are seeking to solve. Debt abolition was a pivotal plank of the Biden campaign. Student loan debt abolition. He said he was going to do that. He ran on it. He tried to do it. He dropped it. Okay. He should have been like Trump, successful. And he should have said, fuck it, YOLO, we're doing it. What are you going to do? I run the Department of Education. Suck my dick, Supreme Court. Roll the tanks, bitch. You and what army? I'm doing it. Look, that's what Trump is doing half the fucking time. So this is why I get very frustrated when I hear from people who are like, I'm a social democrat, but I think the DSA platform is untenable. It's like, well, okay. So I guess you're not a social democrat because the DSA platform, at least like a lot of the stuff that they're presenting here, already exists in some way, shape, or form in social democracies, or were advanced by, ironically enough, socialists in the past, and therefore it's not really that big of an issue in other countries. Like debt is a major one. Debt obviously exists in other countries to a certain degree, but it's not to the same degree as it is in the United States of America, and that's a real problem. Democratic Socialists of America, with like some exceptions thus far, have not run a single candidate that has run on anything but social democracy, because that is what is achievable in the short term. It's not like people are running around being like, abolish the commodity form, seize the means of production. Like, that's not how Zoran won the New York mayoral race. He wasn't like, we're going to seize the means of production, baby. But you got to do that, because then what does Zoran do? He established tenants unions. He does the landlord shaming. Incredible stuff. The way that he, got people comfortable with that was by not LARPing like a fucking Maoist, ironically enough, which is something that I admire about the way he operates, which, contrary to what the last couple of days fucking arguments would show, I am not a Maoist, nor am I a Maoist LARPer in general.
Food, education, energy, medicine, transportation. And it sounds incredible because it is incredible. How would they create it? Government ownership of the largest corporations and of entire industries. Universal.
Again, literally exists in social democracies. Norway owns the entirety of the extraction industry. It is completely nationalized down to the motherfucking bone. It's not like Norway is Maoist. My man started off by saying, I love social democracy. I'm a social democrat. And then literally looked at the DSA social democracy line and went agenda item by agenda item and said, I fucking hate all this shit. Hello? Yeah, Switzerland owns this entire electrical grid and production. Bro, the Tennessee Valley Authority, we have this in America. We have publicly funded public housing in America too. Like, we can expand on the existing social democratic policies that exist in the United States of America. That's what's so fucking crazy about this. You don't even need to go to Norway. But these guys love posting about Norway. It's literally this meme. It's this meme. Yeah, it's the socialism never works. Norway's socialist. They're doing great. They're not, by the way. Norway's not socialist. But whatever. They're not socialist. They're capitalist countries with strong welfare policies. Then let's adopt those policies. No, that's socialism. Every single time. Every single time. Yeah, Trump did this. Yes, Trump just nationalized U.S. Steel. What the hell?
Rent control, abolishing police and prisons, and abolishing the Senate, and replacing our political system.
Like, the abolishing police. I'm not in favor of police abolition, okay? But I understand where these guys are coming from, and it doesn't matter because I'm not crazy, okay? I don't spend a good deal of time being like, I can't believe some of them said abolish police. What the fuck? Like, I'm not losing sleep over it. Why do you lose sleep over it?
Some of these ideas are reasonable to a degree. For example, I support universal health care, and I've talked about 4 or 5 ways that we could get to it. I want affordable housing, and I've done a dozen interviews with housing experts on what would and wouldn't work to get us there. I support progressive taxation. We need to collect more taxes from the very rich. Voting rights have been hurt in this country. We need police reform. There's elements of this that are great, and any social democrat like me will tell you we got to do that. But you bundle it together, and this fantasy in which capitalism, private industry, and major parts of the government simply disappear.
You're just describing laws. You're describing a policy agenda that you disagree with without actually explaining what you disagree with on the policy agenda. And you're just simply saying people oppose it and you want to be authoritarian. How is it any different than when fucking libertarians say, oh, taxation is theft. The authoritarian government is utilizing the monopoly of violence that it holds in order to force me to fucking steal my money, my hard-earned money. Like, okay, that's authoritarianism. Technically, they're not wrong. Yes, public ownership of key sectors is authoritarianism, I guess, for the fucking executives of said companies. But guess what? Many other social democracies do this because it's good. I'm sure there was a point in time when the motherfucking private profiteers of the fire departments, the private fire brigades were really frustrated that the local governments came down on them and authoritarian style took over and said, nah, we got to do this. It's got to be a public service. Sorry. They were like, no, authoritarianism. It turns out sometimes it's good. Nordic model wasn't conjured by liberals. It was built by parties rooted in Marxist Second International that, through decades of class struggle, built unions powerful enough to discipline capital and expanded state economic involvement. Socialist governance within capitalism. Also, homogeneity explains little. Finland is bilingual. Nordics have their own national minorities. None of that explains why they built social democracy while other wealthy, homogenous countries didn't. Difference was organized labor and socialist parties, not demographic. Misspelling his surname is anti-Semitic? Okay, shut the fuck up.
Most Americans don't want that. Most Americans understand that there is no way that you could impose that without extraordinary authoritarianism.
Yeah, I hate the extraordinary authoritarianism of the fucking postal service and the fire department, even the fucking police department and public schools. I hate that. We need to stop with this authoritarianism. Dude, are you a libertarian? No. Are you an anarcho-capitalist? No. So obviously there's a level of authoritarianism that you're actually comfortable with, right? And I thought you were far, far more open to the level of authoritarianism presented by the likes of FDR, or even presented in countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, and many of these other places that social democrats love to point to and say we should do the same thing that they have over there. But now, when DSA is putting out a platform that's identical to the things that already exist in these other social democracies to a certain degree, you're like, that's authoritarianism. So apparently you're not in favor of that. But this is also ideologically inconsistent, because there are certain things that I know he's defended. There are certain things that I know he's defended, whether it be Medicare for all or numerous other policies like that. That's authoritarianism. Medicare for all, universal health care is authoritarian by that exact same principle that you're mentioning.
Hesitation about confronting this now, and why I went back and forth, is
this was a question I asked David Pacman a very long time ago. I said, you understand inelastic demand. You love, Econ 101. He said, yes. I said, for that reason, you're in favor of Medicare for all. He said, yes. Or universal health care. He said, yes, inelastic demand. So why don't you apply that same principle to housing? Housing is shelter. Shelter is a necessity for survival. There's inelastic demand for shelter in the same exact way that there's inelastic demand for healthcare. He had no answer for it. This is the whole reason behind why government-funded housing initiatives has to exist, to normalize the market, for example. The market is completely out of control. It's not a secret that every other country that has some semblance of public housing has a way higher rate of home ownership, as opposed to the United States of America.
Publicly exposing the rot could make moderate voters think the entire Democratic Party has been infected. But I don't think silence is really going to hide it. I saw a crazy thing from the weekend where there was a college Democrats convention, which I was actually invited to participate in, and I couldn't make it. Hasan Piker was dressed like Mao, and
dude, this is Fox News, brother. What is happening? What is happening? This is tan suit, Fox News style. It's literally a Chinese suit, brother. Do you disagree with the things that I said in the College Democrats of America speech that I delivered? Did you watch the speech? Did you disagree with the things that I said in the speech? That is the question, okay? Hyper-focusing on the Zhongshan suit is unbelievably silly, and you would make 17,000 fucking videos if the Republicans were doing it to somebody else. If the Republicans were doing this to a centrist Democrat, you would make a million videos about it. Like, this is ridiculous. Focus on what you guys are doing. You're killing people in the streets instead of fucking talking about some centrist Democrat wearing a type of suit that you don't like. Yes, dude. Yes. Deng Xiaoping also wore it, and liberals love him. So they should love this. It's so funny. Liberals love Deng Xiaoping, but then they always talk about Tiananmen Square. Anyway, I guess they have nuance when it comes to Deng Xiaoping. Anyway, let's continue.
I guess Destiny tried to show up, and he was banned from entering allegedly because the Mao-dressed Piker didn't want him there.
That's a crazy thing to do, by the way. You know better, David. That's really fucked up that you're out here straight up. OG made a video on the tan
I was
suit.
stunned, Lewis, upon my return. Got himself embroiled in a huge political controversy. Republicans completely up in arms, angry over the disrespect.
Called it. This man has been around for a long damn time. Look at this. 2014. Look at that.
That the president had the audacity to commit against them. And what this was President Obama wore a tan suit.
Anyway, nasty thing for him to do is to make it seem to his own audience that the guy who spent the last fucking 7 years stalking the living fuck out of me, who has actively said that I deserve death, that I have made statements that are worthy of killing me, guy who has openly demanded people in his community stalk me everywhere I go, guy who has said I should be bullied and humiliated and yelled at if I'm going out to protest. I'm sorry, David Pacman, you know that shit. You know he's been doing that. And if David doesn't know that, he should hear about it, because that's crazy. David Pacman, I don't think you are in favor of the targeted harassment that this fucking sex pest has conducted over the last 7 years. Because if you were aware of it and you're still making this video, that is the most disingenuous thing I've ever heard from you. It's worse than when you said, I don't know what IEPAC is. I don't know what IEPAC is. What is that? Those guys literally filmed themselves with their intent to disrupt an event that they were not invited to. They filmed the entire process. There's videos of it everywhere. That's crazy. I don't think you want to be running around defending a guy who has an active court case distributing revenge porn. Yeah, that guy, his guy Darius is threatening to go to people's houses. Yeah, one of the guys, one of his fucking friends, unironically is now talking about moving to Los Angeles to stalk me more efficiently. That guy who has actually received a restraining order from his ex. Come on, man. Come on, David. We've always had our disagreements, but I've always been cordial because David's been cordial. This is definitely, I don't think David, I'm going to be charitable. I'm going to go ahead and say, I don't think David knows the extent of the madness presented by this cult. I'm going to be charitable and I'm going to say that because if he did, he probably would not be defending this.
Republicans are going to put these clips everywhere. Like, people seem crazy when they see this stuff. And they are...
Really, they did. They did put the clips everywhere. We saw on Facebook, people fucking seemingly loved how stupid it was. They did this exact same thing to Fox News. Oh, another Tansu controversy. So why don't you feel that way? Why don't you feel that way, David? Why don't you feel that way, that the Republicans are manufacturing outrage again? Republicans manufacture outrage professionally. Perhaps it's because you also, not dissimilar to the Republicans, find my kind of politics to be repulsive, dangerous, bad. Perhaps there is a disagreement here that goes beyond reason from your perspective. I don't know what it's about. Probably has a lot to do with foreign policy, because that was the one major avenue of disagreement between myself and David Pacman, whether it be Bolivia or numerous other instances where he took a State Department adjacent position where I did not.
Going to abolish the police and abolish borders and abolish prisons and play them on a loop for 6 months.
I didn't say that. I didn't say abolish borders on that speech. I didn't say abolish prisons on that speech. I want to put motherfuckers in prison. Make no mistake. There's a lot of motherfuckers that need to go to prison, okay? Many of them ICE agents, actually, and people who are in this current government. They need to go to jail. So I'm not abolishing prisons at all. I'm not in favor of that at all. I want to put motherfuckers in prison, the right kind of people in prison. So make no mistake, David, never said abolish prisons. I didn't say abolish borders. I didn't say abolish prisons. I didn't say none of that. I said abolish ICE. Maybe he has a disagreement with that. I don't know. But I took it one step further. I said punish ICE, abolish ICE, but also, hold them accountable.
I were an average voter with no knowledge of these online personalities, which most of these people are. Most people don't follow this sort of thing. They're busy living their lives and working and doing all this stuff. If I were an average voter with no knowledge of these online personalities, I would find these images and a lot of this stuff very alarming. So as I said last week, and so many of you agreed with me, Democrats must act now and intelligently. The centrists don't really do anything, make very milquetoast fringe suggestions that you don't even really push for. Not working, okay? This other thing of end everything, it's a sort of destructive accelerationism, that's also not gonna work. So I think that what we need here are no apologetics for dictatorship, no apologetics for authoritarianism, no harassment, no anti-Semitism, no allowing online factions to decide which liberals may enter the room. Would I even have been allowed at that college Democrats thing? They invited me months ago. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't go, so we didn't find out. So we just need normal people to participate, join local committees, attend conventions, get involved with state parties, and let's turn the DNC into something that works. Many reasonable people doing a little can defeat both the centrist do-nothings and the hardcore extremists who would get...
Bro. He's trying to play the victim and he didn't even go, yeah, bro, you were invited. Clearly, they don't fucking hate liberals. What do you mean? Like, Jamie Raskin was a speaker at this thing. Like, the idea that the Young College Democrats of America, the College Democrats of America is some radical fucking organization is ridiculous. I am probably the most radical person that they allowed to speak at the event. Most of the other people are just like regular Democrats. You were invited to it. You chose not to go. You had other obligations. That's fine. But very clearly, it's not a anti-liberal space at all. It's not an illiberal space at all. There's many different ideologies, and sucks for you that, my worldview is also being represented more and more within the Democratic Party. He's saying that Destiny should have been let in. Yes, the reason why I'm bringing up the fact that he was invited and Destiny was not let in is because I don't think David Pacman would ever be so fucking stupid as to literally live stream himself and his weird psychopathic restraining order having besties openly filmed themselves with their intent to disrupt a speaking engagement. Because obviously, if I were to do that and I got fucking, stopped, I would understand why.
Republicans believed they were going to control the extremists. They were like, we got these people under control. The extremists took over the party. Democrats can still.
I love how much of a centrist he is, that he's trying to create a second center. He's like, no, I don't like the centrists either, but we got to find a center between the centrists and the left, the extreme left. So he talks about the harassment you got, but also that you are Mao who prevented D from being there. Makes zero sense. Yeah, none of it makes sense.
Prevent that outcome.
Here's David knowing about Destiny's issues from 2025. David Pacman drops out of an event he was co-headlining with Destiny in June, citing reputational concerns. Official statement from Pangburn regarding June 22nd event in Queens, New York. I regret to inform ticket holders that David Pacman has chosen to withdraw from his scheduled appearance at the anti-Trump tour event. Wow. David, why did you pull out of this event, David? That's crazy. That's crazy. So the guy you chose to defend. So when the college Democrats of America do the same thing you did last year, when the college Democrats of America did the same thing you did last year, you side with the guy who you said you couldn't be around? On May 9th, prior to signing his contract, Davies was fully informed of the event details, including some of the public accusations that Destiny is currently defending himself against. With full knowledge of these circumstances, David agreed to participate and sign his contract, allowing us to proceed with a formal public announcement and ticket sales. On May 9th, shortly after the announcement was made, David informed us that he had received some negative feedback regarding his participation, despite previously indicating that he is not troubled by this and suggesting that the negative feedback may have been instigated by agitators. David and his team later cited reputational concerns as their reason for backing out. Should I tweet at him and say, hey, David, why did you criticize the college Democrats of America making a similar decision to you? This is what I have to say to David.
What gives?
David Pacman still frequents the subreddit. The brigade is incoming to my subreddit. Wrong. Show is bigger than ever, fortunately. Oh, so he's still in Destiny's subreddit. He's still posting in Destiny's subreddit. Oh, so he does know everything. Okay. It's good to know. I don't think his audience is probably going to be fond of David Pacman's back and forth opinion shift on this issue, but